The first dosha that we're going to discuss is the Vata Dosha. Now, all doshas apply to each of us, so you may recognise that even though you're not predominantly a Vata type of person, that you have still got some elements of Vata that you recognise in yourself. The Vata is the air and space element, so it's similar the quality of the wind, so it's kind of up and down. And the qualities of Vata are dry, light, cold, rough, subtle and mobile. So the cold element in the body can affect physically in terms of their body temperature seems to be quite cold, and sometimes that means that they're attracted to cold foods, so quite often they're drawn to salads and fruit and foods that are cold naturally. That also means that cold element slows down digestion, so it doesn't always digest food properly, which means they're experiencing things like wind or constipation or bloating. And that dry element also means that they often experience dry skin, dry scalp, hair can be brittle, and also they can experience things like constipation, so the dryness is inside the body as well as on their surface, on the skin. Vata people tend to have quite a thin body frame, and their weight is quite light, so again it's that light quality, so their body weight tends to be quite light. Their appetite is like that wind element, the air and space, so it can be up and down. Sometimes you feel like eating, sometimes you don't feel like eating. Vata people can go hours without meals and not kind of realise it, particularly if they're busy, that mobile element, they always seem to be on the go. Their skin is quite dry and rough and can be quite pale. Hair also can be thin and quite brittle and quite dry. Body temperature, as I said, body temperature is generally quite cold, particularly hands and feet. Your Vata has got to do with the movement in the body. So again, if you think of the air and space elements, the Vata is the movement in the body. So it's things like the pulsation of the eyes, the movement of the breath, the beating of the heart, the muscles. So it's all that movement in the body. And excess movement can cause harm to Vata type people as well in terms of how they're feeling. The dry element extends to the elimination. So Vata people quite often have got very dry stools, can be constipated, find it difficult going to the bathroom first thing in the morning, or even for days for that matter. In nature, when Vata are out of balance, they can get very anxious, very overwhelmed, which can affect their sleep. Vata people quite often suffer from insomnia. Memory, now this is quite interesting. So Vata people forget things really easily. They learn really quickly, but they're also very quick to forget. So they can absorb all that information and get that understanding and then ask them a question half an hour later and they've forgotten it completely. When dealing with stress, Vata people, as I just said, can get very anxious, very overwhelmed. They can feel like everything's up in their head, so there's lots and lots of stuff going on and they don't necessarily know where to focus, get that clarity to move on to the next. Vata people also tend to be the ones that do lots and lots of exercise. They're the runners, the cyclists, the weightlifters, they're at the high intensity classes, they're doing lots of stuff. It's that mobile element, they like to be on the move. And like attracts like, so the Vata people, the cold element attracts the cold, the light attracts light, and so on. So they think they're doing the right thing, they think they want to maybe lose weight. Vatas are the ones that are on the go constantly and are overly excessive when it comes to exercise. When Vata people are in balance, they are very enthusiastic, they're very creative, they're really clear, fun to be around, and full of energy. But when they go out of balance, they're very quickly anxious, they're overwhelmed, they're insomnia, they have eczema, they can have problems with weight, eating disorders, and even things like muscle spasms or be really tired all the time. So really long term, if Vata people continue doing the things that they're doing to keep them out of balance, long term it is going to lead to further episodes of anxiety, experiencing maybe heart palpitations, problems with skin, eczema, but long term it can lead to things like dementia, or even things like chronic fatigue, ME, and even depression. So it's really important that if you recognise any of these things, that you start to address them, because the small things that you do each and every day are really, really important to our long-term health. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year, 5 years, 10 years time, and so on. So Ayurveda talks about if you live according to your dosha, so the doshas are balanced, the body's taking in nutrients, it's getting rid of waste, you're going to live a long and healthy life. So it's all about promoting longevity and being able to enjoy our life right now, but also as we continue to get older. Some of the things that you might be doing if you are a Vata person, or even for all of us to keep our Vata in balance, some of the things that you might be doing is excessive exercise. So we don't actually have to do as much exercise as what you think we need to do. Kapha people, which we'll get to soon, Kapha people need to do a little bit more exercise, but Vata people only need exercise maybe 2-3 times a week for kind of 30 minutes. They need much more restorative, like more relaxing yoga, restorative walking, Pilates, those kind of things that are actually much more gentle to the body. Diet is really important for Vata. So as I said, they're more like to have the cold, the dry, the rough kind of foods. So they're the ones that have the salads, have the nuts and seeds, have the smoothies, and constantly grazing all the time. We want to have foods that are opposites. So whenever you're thinking about bringing yourself back into balance, you're looking to do the opposite. So for dry, you need moisture. For cold, you need warm. For rough, you need smooth. So things like mashed potatoes. Okay, so things that are a bit heavier, a bit warmer, soups, stews, those kind of things that are much, much better for a Vata type of person. Vata people are the ones that tend to suppress their natural urges. So they might feel hungry, but if they just let that kind of go for 5-10 minutes, half an hour, it'll pass and they can carry on. They might feel a little bit kind of lightheaded at some point and kind of need to eat, but they can just sort of busy themselves with other things and their appetite can go. So they don't actually pay attention to when they're hungry or when they're thirsty. But even things like thirst, going to the bathroom, how many of us put off going to the bathroom because you're too busy and you've got something else that you need to do? Or sleeping when you need to sleep. Vata people, that mobile quality, they like to be on the move. So physically, they like to be busy all the time, but they can also like to travel. Vata people need grounding. They need the opposite quality from the air and space, which is earth. So they need to be grounded. So walking's really good. As I said, the kind of yoga practice where there's lots of standing postures or seated postures are quite good, and that brings the grounding element. The food does that as well. Food, when you're eating, it comes into the stomach, so it's got that downward action, and that can make Vata people feel much more grounded and more clear and calm. And even things like, at the moment we live in Scotland, so we have it all the time, but yeah, I've got cold and windy conditions, so that also is aggravating Vata. So you'll often see them wrapped up warm, lots of scarves, lots of layers. So it's important that they are really wrapped up warm, particularly in winter time, or in Scotland, autumn, winter and springtime, to make sure that they're counteracting that cold, dry, rough element. So some of the things that can really help to balance your Vata are paying attention to natural urges. So that's why I was trying to get you for the past 2 weeks to just have that awareness and start to pay attention and bring in some healthy eating habits, because it's not just about what we eat but how we eat. So actually sitting down to have some food and going through that process of eating will help to stimulate the digestive fire. In Ayurveda, a warm oil massage is called an Abhyanga. So we are hoping in the very near future to offer Abhyanga massage, but you can do it at home Sesame oil is really warming, so not sesame oil that you cook with, sesame oil that you can buy online as like a massage oil. That's really warming for the body. So first thing in the morning, just rubbing the whole body with some oil, and then you can shower after that and kind of wash it off so you don't feel like you're too sticky. Or maybe just put some in the bath in the evening if you like to have a bath. Warm baths are really good for Vata people, as are things like sauna, steam, because it gives the body that heat and that moisture that it really needs. Sound is also really good for Vata, whether that is kind of musical instruments, whether it's singing, whether it's listening to music, whether it's going to some therapies like sound baths. All of that is very soothing for the Vata. If you think, again, the air and space element, so sound travels through the air, it helps to make them feel much calmer. It's really important in terms of foods that Vata people stick to foods that are sweet, sour and salty, and foods that are moist and warm and heavy. So soups, mashed potatoes, butter, creamy foods, anything that feels really heavy. They should be avoiding things that are light and dry and rough and cold, like salads, or even just like raw vegetables, having cooked vegetables instead. And moisture is really important, so adding in ghee to those, or butter, to really give it that kind of moisture to the body. And I had a discussion with a client the other day because she was really concerned, like the minute you say adding butter, like you think of fats and you think of putting on weight. But instead of that, I kind of spoke to her about, think of the ghee as more medicine for your body. So again, one of the things that could happen long term with Vata type of people, if they carry on with kind of bad habits, is osteoporosis. So brittle and dry joints and bones. So if you think of ghee as giving that moisture to the bones, moisture to the fluid, so rather than seeing it as it's fat, I'm going to put on weight, it's not good for me, see it, you need to tweak some of the things that you're thinking about. It's all about how we think about things. Switching that mindset is the word that I'm trying to use. So switching the mindset so that you can really, a lot of the things that I'm saying are going to be completely contradictory to the things that are out there in the media. And all you need to remember is the media is trying to sell you products. Right? I want you to be healthy, that Ayurveda is a tried and tested system over 5,000 years. It's not trying to sell you any particular products. It's encouraging certain spices, certain foods that are out there in nature that we have already. Ayurveda is about living that long and healthy life. So remember, the things that you're looking to do for Vata type of person is we need warmth in the body. So whether that's warmth through the foods that you're eating, drinking warm water or herbal teas. It's about having warmth, being wrapped up, being like keeping the body nice and warm. Oil massage with warming oil, so sesame oil is warm, whereas coconut oil is cooling, so stick to sesame for Vata type of people. Saunas, steams, warm baths. When it comes to routines, actually are quite good, quite grounding to have some routines, listening to natural urges, and just think about really giving that body some like deep nourishment. So spending time with friends, or walking the dog, and doing some exercise that is really supportive and nourishing for the body and not too excessive and pushing the body to exhaustion. There are separate videos for Pitta and Kapha, and it might be worth listening to these a couple of times just to help you to really understand. If you do have any questions, please email me them in or put them in the Facebook group and I'll make sure I'll answer them. This week is where you're really going to have lots of questions. I'm going to try and gather them all together, and I'll do a video or send you any information that's relevant to that particular question. So moving on to Pitta.